Hello, my name is Hope. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about the movies that I watched in August today, even though it is literally almost October now. But we're just going to pretend that it is like 2 weeks ago. First movie I watched last month was the new Fantastic Four movie, and I called it with Thunderbolts that it was going to be like a turning point of Marvel in a good way, I hope, because I really enjoyed Fantastic Four, and I think if Marvel continues to have like a certain style with each movie that they make, instead of the style being Marvel, I think that everything is just going to be slightly cooler that they do. One thing about Fantastic Four that I enjoyed, which I don't think a lot of other people enjoyed, was the minimal like setup that they had. They kind of just threw you in expecting to know about the Fantastic Four, and there wasn't much context given, which I think worked to its advantage. Me, someone who had watched the Fantastic Four movies before seeing this one, I liked that, but if I was like just getting into these movies, I probably would have hated that. And Vanessa Kirby just absolutely served the entire film. It's very hard to outserve Pedro Pascal, so I give that to her. Next movie I watched was A Woman Under the Influence, and my boyfriend had been wanting me to watch that for a really long time because a lot of people that I looked up to would always choose that movie in the Criterion Closet. One thing about me is I love an unhinged woman, and this was like the unhinged woman. I thought it was very captivating right from the start. It was also extremely long, which I didn't feel the runtime when I was watching it. The lead character, I don't remember her name, but she was probably one of the most likable characters in anything ever. Her acting was just superb. This next film that I have to talk about is something that I considered making a whole video about just because of how disappointed I was with it. And that is Weapons. I just think I hyped it up way too much in my head, and it also was advertised as something I thought was going to be completely different. It just did not work for me. I do love that an original horror movie like this got like so much praise and was so successful, because all that we're seeing nowadays are like reboots and remakes and sequels to other franchises that existed like 20 years ago. And it's very nice to have something like Sinners this year, Weapons together. Having movies like that come out in the theater was a nice treat to have this year, but I was just let down by Weapons. This is totally a random movie and does not make any sense for me to be watching, but it was my friend's birthday and she wanted to introduce me to the Sandlerverse. So we watched Big Daddy, which was not like, I feel like that might be a little bit of an Adam Sandler deep cut, because growing up, like my parents were Adam Sandler haters, and like the only movie now like pre-Big Daddy that I watched with Adam Sandler was Uncut Gems, and that's like totally completely different. But I thought Big Daddy was cute. We were more of a Jack Black family, which leads me into the next movie that I showed her, which was School of Rock. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. If you haven't seen it like when you were a child, you probably wouldn't love it as much watching it as an adult, but that was like, I've probably seen that movie 100 times. Next movie that I watched was also a rewatch, and that was Kick-Ass from like 2010. I remember watching it when I was a kid, and I loved Hit Girl. And recently Chloe Moretz has gotten married to a woman, and that means a lot to me. I think Kick-Ass is very underrated in like that era of comedy films with like Superbad, with like the same actors, like Superbad, Juno, those type of films. I also think Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance is very underrated as well, and I think it's just such a fun movie. They also completely ripped off, I don't know if they ripped it off or just used the 28 Days Later like theme. If it's not the same song, it's extremely similar in that movie. Next thing I watched was K-pop Demon Hunters, and I don't care about K-pop at all, but this movie was fantastic and the songs were so fun, and I want to rewatch it already. It also had like a very limited theatrical release, and like I said in my last video, I work in a movie theater, and it was the cutest thing ever to see all these little kids like dressed up, dancing and singing in the theaters. It was so cute. Then I watched Clown in a Cornfield, which I'd been wanting to watch for a really long time. I have the book. I haven't read the book, but I saw the movie. I still want to read the book, but I feel like this totally fits in like the realm of Fear Street, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, like that good teen horror that commits like all the way, and we need more good things like that. You can do horror well when it's aimed towards teens, and a lot of films just don't do that. Like maybe that's something that I don't like about like I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it's obviously aimed towards teens, but it's not trying to be like really good. And that's what I think Clown in a Cornfield did really well, and like Fear Street, movies like that, they genuinely try to be good. Pivoting to something not so good, I watched Honey Don't in the theater. More like Honey Don't Watch This Movie. To have Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza like in a lesbian relationship in your film, and Chris Evans was the best part of it, you're doing something wrong there. I don't think the acting was bad. I think it was the characters, how they were written. There was just so much left open, and it felt like lower stakes than it actually was. I will say one thing that I did like about it, it kind of had like an independent film charm to it, especially with like the opening credits. I thought that was really cool. Just not to be like fully negative. There were some good moments in it. Next movie I watched was Freaky Tales, which I believe came out earlier this year. I watched it on, I think, HBO. I thought it looked really fun, but I didn't really hear much about it. And I'm really glad that I watched it, because I think it became one of my favorites of this year. It's an anthology film that they all kind of come together. If you have seen it, please tell me what your favorite chapter was, because I loved the last one, which I think probably a majority of the people who have seen it would like the last chapter the best. Then I watched a movie on Shudder called Let the Corpses Tan, and I literally just watched it because I thought that was a really cool title. I will say this film was style over substance, and I don't always think that's a bad thing, because, you know, I was in the mood for something like that. If you are a filmmaker, I highly recommend watching this movie, because my mind was blown with like every shot. I've also been getting into Westerns more lately, because I was actually working on a Western film and I was just very uneducated in the genre. My boyfriend has shown me a lot in the past year or so, and last month we watched True Grit, the Coen brothers one. I hadn't seen much of Haley Steinfeld's work, like other than Sinners, so it was really cool to see her this young in a role like that, and she did fantastic. Next movie I watched was in the theater again, and it was Ponyo. I had never seen Ponyo before, and I got to see it with a friend, and it was really nice because we try to see Studio Ghibli movies together, like when they do the Ghibli Fest. So we saw Ponyo. I have no complaints about that movie. It was kind of perfect. Whenever I watch a Ghibli movie, like I'm having so much fun watching it, and then like the most gut-wrenching thing happens. Next movie I watched was Opera by Dario Argento, and I have a little bit of a story with this one. My short film called Jane and the Brain actually played before this movie at a local theater, and it was just a wonderful night. My parents got to come, and it was really fun. That being said, Opera is not my favorite Argento movie, but it's definitely one of his good ones. When I first watched Opera, I wasn't a fan of like the metal soundtrack, but this time watching it again, it really grew on me, and I think I kind of like it now. The last day of the month, literally on August 31st, my boyfriend and I crammed 3 movies in that day. We ended up watching Thunderbolts, which he had not seen, and I previously talked about Thunderbolts. That's probably like top 3 favorite Marvel movies for me, and that's coming from someone who has not seen every Marvel movie, so don't come for me too hard on that. There were still like the classic, like eye-rolly, like cheesy Marvel dialogue, but it still just felt so much more human than any other Marvel film because of the characters, and there was a very consistent aesthetic with it. I just thought they did that really, really well. Next movie we watched was Casino Royale, James Bond film. I am not familiar with James Bond movies like at all, but it was definitely a lot of fun, and I don't know anything about poker, so if I did even a little bit, I would probably like it more. I also really love Eva Green as an actress, and it was really nice to see her because I used to watch Penny Dreadful with my mom, and we just thought she was like the coolest person ever. And anytime Mads Mikkelsen is on the screen, you know something like messed up is gonna happen, and it did. The last movie we watched was Cemetery Man, and I had seen it before, but my boyfriend hadn't seen it, and that's probably one of my favorite 90s movies. It is just so whimsical. The humor in that film also, like, I'm sorry if my hair keeps changing. It's still kind of wet. I took a shower. Sue me. The humor in that film is so good, and I think every joke lands. It also has an amazing, like, gothic style, and it fits the story so perfectly. My cat just got on my lap. She is also a cinephile, so maybe I could start making videos with her. But that is everything I watched in August. It's almost the end of September, so another video is going to be coming soon with what I watched in September, and then October is probably going to be insane. So I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you watched. If you've watched any of these films, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.